everyone? This is my absolute best all-around Harlowe build. It's got massive damage, fast clear times, crazy skill synergy. It's really like everything you need for leveling, mobbing, bossing, and it can take on any endgame activity. I've used versions of this build through the leveling process. I used it all the way through Ultimate Vault Hunter leveling, and then now again I'm using it for farming bosses and clearing mobs quickly and easily. Our action skill is almost always ready thanks to our class mod. Our synergy between our skill damage and gun output is wild, and you can do this all with many different weapons. For now, let's get started with the skill trees, and I'll follow up with gear afterwards. Here's our full skill tree. We've got 30 points in Creative Burst and 19 points in Seize the Day. There's the full skill tree, so if you need them, save this, take a screenshot of it, and if you have to come back, I've got it saved as a chapter down below. To start, for our action skills, we're going to use the Chroma Accelerator. This fires an unstable energy pocket. It does cryo damage when it's passing by enemies. It does radiation damage when it explodes. It does 3,569 pass-by damage, 8,923 damage. Just take note of those damage numbers because that's all going to go into account in Neutron Capture in the augment. But now we're going to go into Demon Core, which is as our energy pocket travels, it shoots radiation darts. These radiation darts do 4,461 damage each, which all of this combined with the initial Chroma Accelerator shot goes into Neutron Capture, which is 4% of our action skill damage dealt is then dealing bonus radiation damage. So what this means is as the Chroma Accelerator, the unstable energy pocket, travels and shoots its radiation darts, it deals its cryo damage and then eventually detonates and does radiation damage. All of that damage is going to be stored. 4% of that is going to be given to our guns in the form of bonus radiation damage. Now how this works is it's not going to matter what our overall gun damage is on our gun, because all of this is going to be a set amount of 4% of our action skill damage dealt that is then going to be given to each bullet as it hits the target. So because of this, we're going to stack things like action skill damage, cryo damage, radiation damage, fire rate, reload speed. All of this is going to go into getting as many shots into a target as possible and deal the most amount of extra bonus damage as we can. So I'll show you here in the weapons that it doesn't really matter what the base damage is or base DPS of a weapon is. It all really comes down to how many rounds can you get on a target, because you only have 8 seconds of Neutron Capture being active, which is giving bonus radiation damage. For our skill tree, our first 19 in this first block are all going to be on skill damage and fire rate and reload speed. So Field Ready Prototype gives us an extra 30% skill damage. Cyclotron gives us an extra 20% fire rate. Bleeding Edge gives us an extra 25% reload speed. And then we're going to put 1 point into Elementary. Now this is only important because we want to unlock the Enriched skill, which gives us 21% bonus radiation damage. This radiation damage and skill damage is just going into our Chroma Accelerator or energy pocket and how much damage it can do. And then our reload speed and our fire rate and our reload speed are both going to go into how many bullets can we get on a target at once. And all of this is playing into doing the most amount of damage possible within the 8-second window that Neutron Capture is active. These next 11 points are all going to go into our basically making our action skill stronger. So Poison Sun, we're gaining increased radiation damage, irradiation chance, 30% radiation damage. That goes into our radiation darts. Also goes into the radiation damage that we get from the bonus Neutron Capture, and then the radiation damage we get from the initial explosion from Chroma Accelerator. Our next 3 are going to go into Chain Reactor and into Fissile Launcher. So Fissile Launcher, whenever Harlowe damages an irradiated enemy or entangled enemy, it shoots a radiation dart. Because when the energy pocket travels, it's going to irradiate enemies and entangle them. This is going to give us extra damage that is going into our action skill damage into Neutron Capture. We're also going to do Chain Reactor for the same reasons. We're going to do bonus radiation damage to entangled enemies. So this is just an additional radiation damage that we're doing on top of the initial Neutron Capture. And then also every radiation dart that hits is going to deal bonus radiation damage as well. So all of this goes into the stored damage that is going into Neutron Capture. And as you can see, this whole tree is not stacking gun damage in any way, shape, or form, but you're going to be able to hit shots at like 20 to 30,000 extra bonus radiation damage, whereas your initial gunshot is only hitting maybe 500, 600 per pellet. Our next 5 are going to go make extraordinary, so we're gaining critical hit chance with our skills. The reason this is important is because if you can get critical hits with your skills on either pass by or on detonation or on the radiation darts, that adds to the bonus radiation damage that we're going to get here in Neutron Capture. So 5 into that to gain the critical hit chance with skills. Then we're going to go 5 into Bright Future. Whenever we trigger or retrigger an action skill, we gain increased fire rate. Again, this is because we want the bonus radiation damage from Neutron Capture to do all the damage, not just our guns. So we're going to fire off as many rounds as possible within the 8-second timing of having Neutron Capture up. We'll have an increased fire rate using this skill as well. And then we're going to go 2 into Periodic Table Flip. The reason we're doing this is because we want to open up increased cryo damage. Remember that Chroma Accelerator on its way out to the enemies is going to be cryo damage, and when it explodes, it's radiation damage. So we're gaining an extra 21% cryo damage. This will all just be stored in Neutron Capture and then used in order to do the most damage in the end. Lastly, we're going to do Unstable Isotope. So this is a kill skill. Harlowe deals bonus cryo damage with all sources. This one's just really big when you're doing mobbing. When you fire your Chroma Accelerator out and it kills someone, then for 8 seconds we'll have an additional 28% bonus cryo damage in order to stack with our bonus radiation damage. So all this just goes into doing the most damage possible. This is really more of a mobbing build, but if you have a boss with enemies right off the bat, like you'll see here in some of the clips, then it gains you bonus 28% cryo damage. Next, I'm going to go over our weapons and gear. First thing I'm going to do is go over the weapons. I got 4 different weapons I like to use for this build, and then I'll go over these 4, and then I'll have a portion afterwards of where you can find each of these in case you want to farm for them yourselves. First weapon I like to use is the Lucian's Flank. The reason I like this one best is because it comes with the Jacob's License part, has 76 round magazine, it has a pretty fast fire rate, and then also has the secondary extra barrel if you want to increase the fire rate. This one just is best for mobbing because if you're shooting one enemy with the Neutron Capture bonus damage and you get the critical hits, you will hit another enemy, so you're just hitting multiples at once. And then the fast fire rate lets you get out that entire magazine within the 8 seconds of Neutron Capture. So this is my best overall all-around mobbing weapon. The next weapon I like for this is the Lionized Bird Bees. The reason I like this is because when you take a shot and it has the bees that home in on the enemies, all the individual bees seem to do bonus radiation damage. So you're not just getting bonus radiation from the initial 46 shots, you're getting it from all the bees that hit as well. So this, even though it's not the fastest fire rate, it's just a little bit faster than say like the Lucian's Flank, it has the best fire rate with regard to how many rounds you're getting and how many hits of the bonus radiation damage you're getting. My last 2 are my favorite for bossing. I've got the Convergence and I've got the Looty Mad Lad. Specifically the Looty Mad Lad that has the secondary fire of shotgun, and I'll explain why here in a second. Starting out with the Convergence, it's not the fastest fire rate, but it has a ×3, and then on top of that, the gold text asymptotic gives you, every time you hit the target, there's multiple other bullets that hit. Each of those has their own bonus damage from Neutron Capture. So we're able to take an entire magazine of this Convergence and have ×3 to begin with, but then also have however many shots it adds by having the asymptotic gold text. Now my favorite weapon for bossing and even mobbing sometimes, although you run out of ammo really fast, is the Looty Mad Lad. And the reason I like this one is because of how many rounds you can get out. It's a 22 rounds per second. With my 50% magazine increase from the enhancement, I have 56 shots. But what you want to do is get the shotgun secondary. And the reason I say that is because with the shotgun secondary, it takes 127 rounds for this in order to break rather than 56 in the regular SMG rounds. So you get more shots in, which is what I'm showing you in the footage here on screen now. And then you do more damage because of all those shots in. It actually takes the game time to catch up with all the damage that it's doing. It looks almost like status effect damage, but it's really just the bullets trying to register because you've shot so many so quickly. Now, the looting mad lag does not have a good reload time, so that's where something like a convergence comes in. Much better, much stronger reload time. So if you have a boss that you can't down in one go with the looting mad lag, then switch over to your convergence, or just use the convergence straight up. It will do the same thing. It'll take it slightly longer, but it'll do the same thing with a lot less pain. You'll be able to get more shots within that 8-second time period just because you don't have half of the time being spent reloading. And this is also part of the reason why we wanted to have reload speed in our skill tree, is because we know we're using the looting mad lag and it has a high reload time. Same with the bird speeds, has a pretty high time. Lucian's flank is quick, a little bit quicker, and then convergence is the quickest of all of them. So just having that extra reload speed, we're already with our fastest weapon taking out a quarter of the amount of time we have Neutron Capture up just reloading. So we want to have the increased reload speed from our skills, and then that goes into doing the most damage overall. Now, going into our gear, there's not any very specific things with the gear. I wanted to make this build as non-specific as possible in order for the most amount of people to be able to use it, which is why I have 4 legendaries up here that you can use. That doesn't mean you can't use anything else. Just like I said, go with your faster fire rate weapons, go with the quicker reload speeds. You can use things like the Buri, that'll count. But when it comes to gear, there's only one thing that you really truly need, and that's this Skeptic class mod. And the reason you want this is because of that last line in the text: shooting enemies with an active status effect restores 5% of action skills cooldown. The reason you want this is because if you miss with your Chroma Accelerator, then you're gonna want to have a quick way to regain, because all of your damage is based on Neutron Capture Augment on the Chroma Accelerator. So this way, I recommend with whatever weapon you decide to use, that you have at least one with the status effect on it in order to shoot an enemy to get the status effect and then get your action skill back. All of your damage in this build is based on your action skill and the action skill bonus damage that it provides. So you want to get that action skill up and running as fast as possible every single time. If you miss a shot with your Chroma Accelerator, if you hit the boss and then it doesn't die within the 8 seconds that you need with Neutron Capture active, then you can automatically go ahead and shoot the enemy with the status effect, regain your action skill, and then fire off another Chroma Accelerator in order to do the most damage possible within the shortest amount of time. I also have one on here that does bonus 30% skill damage. That would be ideal. I really didn't even look for the stats. The biggest thing was just getting the action skill cooldown back as quickly as possible. The next thing we're going to look for is our enhancement. So I don't have a specific enhancement. If you want one tailored to whatever gun you're going to use, then go ahead and do that. The biggest things I'm looking for in this are gun fire rate, gun reload speed, and gun magazine size. If you could get those 3, that would be absolutely amazing. This one was the best for me because I was using an Atlas target lock until I got the looting mad lad with the shotgun, and that was working out really well as a form of bossing. But also the gun fire rate and the gun magazine size. This just helps, especially with something like the convergence, which has a slower fire rate. Within that 50% magazine size, you can get almost an entire clip in the 8 seconds, which then means you're doing the most amount of damage because you're not having to reload at all. So there's no dead space in that convergence shot. Something like the looting mad lad, if you have an entire 4 seconds used up on reloading, the extra magazine size is at least gaining us some extra time shooting, while the increased fire rate means we're getting more bullets out, taking into account the fact that we have a 4-second reload, and then being able to fire out more. So we can get 2 magazines out within an 8-second Neutron Capture window, doing the most damage. Alright, next I have the Super Soldier. I like this really just because it's an additional fire rate. It's not necessary with something like the looting mad lad, but with the conversions, this does help. The extra fire rate just helps. And then I like it because of the movement speed. This one's more of a preference, but if you can find it, this one would be ideal because of the extra fire rate it has. But also, if you can get one that does amp damage, that helps because it's just extra damage. Any shield that you like to use will help. I've also got the kill spring. If you see any of my builds, I like to use the kill spring or the triple bypass. I think they're just the two best rep kits in the game, and this one just gives healing orbs when I'm playing solo, and if I'm playing co-op, heals my friends and teammates, so that's a huge help for survivability. And then lastly, just grenades. I'm using these right now. All of these are, with the exception of the bottom three, these two are just for firmware mules for me. They're carrying my firmware. So I will talk about firmware right now. The first three we're going to do are bullets to spare. This gains us an extra 5% fire rate. Magazine size up increased, and then gunfire rate again is increased. Again, as you can see through the skills and through the different weapons we're using, stacking fire rate is really important. Stacking reload speed is really important, and that's what we're doing here with our firmware. So this just gives us extra fire rate. Then we're going into Oscar Mike, giving us 10% reload speed, and then again into Trick Shot for an extra 5% reload speed. These are the ones I found to be best, especially because I'm using something like the Looty Mad Lad, which takes all of 2 seconds to run out of ammo, but then takes 4.9 seconds if you don't have any extra reload speed to reload. So these are the ones I find to work best, but let me know in the comments if you have any other ideas. I'm always in the search for better firmware to see what works and what doesn't, or if there's any crazy interactions, let me know and I'll give it a shot. Going into my specializations, the first one I've got is bullet train. We can now hip fire while sprinting. The reason this comes in handy is because if you're mobbing and you're running around, you now can just hip fire and move faster than if you add in, say, the super soldier like I have, can move really fast around the enemies and around the arena, be able to take them out quickly. This adds extra damage while walking, but the big one is hip firing while sprinting. We're able to just move around the arena faster for mobbing. Next one we're going to use is I Am a Gun. Action skill damage now benefits from gun damage increases. So this goes into our enhancements really. If we have any enhancements that are doing gun damage, this will give us extra action skill damage, which will then give us extra bonus radiation damage from Neutron Capture, the augment. And then we're going into honed mind, so action skills gain a chance to critically hit. This is big. This stacks into one of our skills where we have a chance for action skills to critically hit. So we have a 10% chance here, and then it stacks, and then we have that combined with a honed mind. That is an additional 5% critical hit chance, and then the damage is increased by 50%. All of this goes into our bonus damage for radiation, bonus damage from Neutron Capture. The last one we're going to go into is Riddle You This. So whenever we deal gun damage, we increase our gun damage. This just stacks into action skill benefiting from gun damage. So we have Riddle You This and Bullet Train both increasing gun damage. All of that goes into action skill damage, which then goes into the bonus radiation damage that we're getting from Neutron Capture when we use our unstable energy pocket. As promised, I'll go over the locations for the different weapons and gear that I was referencing. The first one is Burt's Bees. That can be found here at Sludge Maw. If you don't have it, there's a side mission over in this area that's going to be null and void or all charged up. That will take you to this area and open the doors necessary in order to fight Sludge Maw for Burt's Bees. Next is the Looty Mad Lad, which is going to be Mimicron here in the Fade Fields, also at Tipping Point Bunker. The next is the Lucian's Flank, which is going to be at the Meathead Riders. Just travel to the Reliquary Silo and head south. You'll find the drill site for Meathead Riders for Lucian's Flank. You can find the Convergence at Bramble Song at the Bitter Vein Abandoned Auger Mine in the northern section of Terminus. And the last piece is the Skeptic class mod, which can be found at the Mooncalled Throne Fortress for Queen Callus. And if you didn't know, you can fast travel directly into this fast travel station to get the Skeptic class mod. And that's a full breakdown for my best overall Harlowe build. It's super consistent, super fun. Definitely one of my favorites to play. I've been trying to play all the Vault Hunters without using any of the game breaking or the glitches, especially with them talking about nerfing everything this Thursday. So hopefully this one doesn't get nerfed, but give it a shot before it does. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, sub for more Borderlands 4 builds, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!